Welcome to Your Studio Podcast, the show for studio owners like you who want more profit, more freedom, and a business that actually supports your life. Hosted by Chantel Bruinsma and Michelle Hunter, co-CEOs of Studio Evolution. We've helped thousands of studio owners in more than 34 countries grow, scale, and simplify. So whether you're stuck in survival mode or ready to level up, you're not alone, and you're in the right place. So pop the kettle on, hit follow, and let's dive in.
Hello, friends. Welcome to the Your Studio podcast. It's Michelle Hunter here with my work wifey, Chantel Bruinsma.
Hi, everyone. We're going to tell a little story to begin with. We've got a very new segment, an exciting new segment to share with you today. And it all became from a dream that Michelle and I share. Michelle, do you want to tell about what you like to do in your spare time? One of your favorite indulgences?
Wow. I think a lot of people out there, and send us a note if you are the same. I think a lot of people love to relax by watching other people do their life.
Yeah.
Love reality TV. It is my absolute jam. It completely relaxes my nervous system and I'm just all there for it.
So what are your favourite shows? What are your favourite shows that you watch?
Oh, look, there's a wide range. So from like the Kardashians, do not judge me.
I judge you. I'm quite open in this. Like the woman, I knew that I couldn't even really have a conversation with her on Monday because the Sunday even episode will be released in the US. And then on Monday, she's like, don't talk to me until I've watched Kardashians. Like, okay, that's fine.
I love 90 Day Fiancé. There's like Teen Mums. There's a lot. There's a lot.
Dubai Bullying, that was a recent one that you were in.
That was a recent one that I watched in a whole weekend when I was off work. Yeah. So there's a lot. But what I love about it is you're practically just following someone. And, you know, of course they divulge in storylines, but it's just the interest of people watching and being nosy of what people actually do in their lives. And then this kind of escalated, didn't it, Chantel, into a different conversation between you and I.
So Michelle had this idea. We should do a reality TV show. And what we could do is like Michelle and I would go to a real life studio and the studio would be struggling, right? And it would be just all kind of, you know, there's not systemized and marketing is kind of like struggling and there might be team challenges, like all the drama, right? And then she and I would go in and we would clean it up, just like kind of grand designs the studio business. And we're going to call it Fix My Studio. We bought all the URLs, we bought all the domains, we own
we own all the marketing for it already.
For 48 hours, we were like obsessed with like, okay, we've got all the storyboarding, we've got it all mapped out, right?
We've got all the camera equipment.
Yep.
We've got podcast producers on team.
Oh my gosh, he could do the interview, like the editing. We were like set and ready to go. And then
costume. I was like, you were like, Michelle, you got to go shopping.
So you go
your gym outfits that you turn up to school every morning is not going to be enough because you're going to go straight to filming.
You're going to need more than just tights, hun. You're going to need more than tights. Just putting it out there, right? But then we kind of realized like, oh, we have like a lot of children and we're in a very active parenting stage. We also run a company and it would require a lot of filming. So we've kind of been like, there's another way we could maybe do this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Through the pod.
So we are bringing Fix My Studio to you here on the podcast.
I mean, but we're also open to any kind of major network channel who might happen to be listening to this podcast episode.
If you're listening.
If you want to pick us up, we're here and available.
And very engaging online. Not.
I think they would.
They'd be like, first, Michelle, stop laughing with your mouth open so wide all the time.
Look, girls got a dream, right? Girls got a dream. But
girls got to aim high in life.
So we're doing the next best thing, which is kind of like Fix My Studio, the podcast edition, which is we have just got a brand new evolutionary member. She's starting tomorrow. She's joined the program and her first day is tomorrow. And so we have just done this interview. Incredible woman. When you listen to this episode, just prepare for your heart to be just expanded open with inspiration. She's just a trailblazer, remarkable, remarkable human and visionary. And today's like day zero of her journey. And we're going to check in with her through the pod over the coming 2 years to hear how she's going through the program, the crunchy bits, the stretch bits, the challenging bits, like what's going on in the business and seeing how everything comes to light over the next 2 years. And we can actually see, you know, and I'd like to follow her beyond, to be honest, like, because she's the most remarkable woman. We're going to track her progress, which we are pumped about, right, Michelle?
Yeah, and we're going to see the transformation in real time. I think that's what the beauty is. Just like this reality TV show, we're going to actually see her come up against obstacles in her studio business and in real time see how she's going to move through them.
Very, very excited. So enjoy this episode with Chloe Sutton. She runs the Self Care Sisterhood based in Newcastle in New South Wales in Australia. And this is a woman who has overcome enormous obstacles to follow her vision for an inclusive space for women and those who identify as or she or they, to be able to kind of embrace exercise to bring more holistic health and overcome chronic illnesses and depression. Just the most awesome human. And we are so proud to welcome her to our program. And I'm incredibly excited for you to listen to this episode. So dive on in and enjoy checking out Chloe's story.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here. I have been stalking you online for quite a long time and listening to your podcast. So I feel excited to be on here. Bit of fish.
Oh, this is so fun. This is so fun. So the vision is, friends, we're going to get to know Chloe on the pod over the next couple of years. So we're going to keep checking in with her through her studio evolution journey, what she's doing, what's kind of evolving in her life and her business, and we can actually see in real time the transformation that she's about to undertake. So we are pretty excited about what we're going to do. So thank you for being here with us. Did you want to kind of kick off, Chloe, and tell us a bit about the Self Care Sisterhood? Even at the title, you had us hooked.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I basically started my business out of recovery from really severe endometriosis and migraines. And so basically the business started because I did a clinical pilot trial with Newcastle University called Healthy Body, Healthy Mind for women with depression. And basically over the 12 weeks, I learned how to strength train, and I was in my final year of uni. And I was like, oh my God, why has no one taught me this before? This is like life changing. And basically over the 12 weeks, I went from moderately to severely depressed to basically not ranking depressed on their scale. So It was like, obviously medication and therapy helps too. And it did, but knowing how much a skill of exercise could help me in the rest of my life with my mental health was like revolutionary. And so I finished my degree, and then I got really, really sick and couldn't keep teaching. And so I was like, once I get better, I'm going to retrain to become a personal trainer to help other women like me. And basically the business began as an Instagram page to like document my recovery. So if you scroll all the way to the bottom, you will see the really cringe first post.
I can't wait.
Super cringe.
This is the first thing we're going to do after we jump off, right, Michelle?
Yeah, it's super cringe. I invite you to look at the cringe. I think if it's not cringe, you started too late. So that's how the business started. And then it kind of evolved into starting an in-person studio for women with mental health, neurodivergence, chronic illness, chronic pain. And then it's kind of grown from there. So yeah, that's kind of how my business started. I basically started it for me because I wanted like a place to go that wasn't terrifying and like full of gym bros and like, you know, half naked people. It wasn't really my jam. And with, you know, for me, with someone with really bad anxiety, you know, having lots of men grunting and screaming and, you know, it's just not the vibe. So we're female only. We're for she's and theys. So anyone but cis men, basically. And just to create a safe space for people to move their bodies, because it's quite a vulnerable thing to move your body, and especially post injury or chronic illness. So yeah, that's why I started the business. I started it for me, and then it kind of grew from there. And yeah, now we have a studio in New Lambton in Newcastle, and we love it.
It's really phenomenal seeing how this business has come from such a need. I mean, what you're doing is so trailblazing, so innovative, so inclusive and heart-based. It's really inspiring. And that's why, you know, when you joined the Leap, I was like, this woman, I'm all here to see where this business can go. Because it's so needed. And like Michelle, like you're all in the strength training world. Like this is
all in strength training, and I suffered endometriosis for years and years. So I was just thinking, like when we read your application, I was like, I wish I had Chloe's gym near me for, you know, back in the day. So it's such a need. It's such a need, and it's addressing such a huge need. And because you've been in that position, you're so passionate about it, right? You have so much empathy. You understand. When you go to like a normal gym or studio, when there's, you know, bro gyms, when they don't understand that, they just totally miss the mark in that sense. So
yeah, definitely. I think a lot of places don't realize that women aren't just small men. We are completely different and we have different needs. And if you're living with a complex chronic illness or disability like me, like I have multiple disabilities and things going on, you can't just like white knuckle your way through it.
No.
You need actually a completely different approach. And it's not, those stupid gym phrases like never miss a Monday, or like, just keep going, or, just do it. It's like, actually, no, that's ableist. And it's
right.
also like reinforcing the patriarchy a little bit too. It's like, no, we have different needs too, and that's okay. We're not wrong, naughty, or bad. It's a need. And so we need to fill that need and care for people where they're at without judgment and with kindness and compassion, really. And you can't learn by shaming yourself into doing something. You have to have a foundation of safety. And we know that safety is the foundation of all learning. So that's kind of how I approach it. And I kind of bring my primary teacher kind of early childhood brain into that lens as well, and go, okay, well, how can we help people best learn? They can't do it when they're petrified.
No.
And
their bodies can't transform when they're terrified either, right? Like if they're not feeling safe in their nervous system, how is real change going to occur?
Yeah, definitely.
So have you created your own kind of process, your own methodology, your own curriculum? Like how have you kind of approached this and how you train your team?
Yeah, so we've kind of developed it over the years. Basically, we kind of build from the framework of self-care isn't selfish, but also helping people to understand. A lot of people hear our name of our business and go, oh, and they kind of, their head tweaks and they're like, oh, but you don't just mean like facials and bubble baths. And I say, no, our foundation is actually, we called it the Self Care Sisterhood. We're on the kind of the lens of anti-racism. So we know that diet culture oppresses people, and we know that it oppresses minority bodies and disabled bodies. And so we kind of go off the Audre Lorde quote of like, self-care is an act of resistance and an act of political warfare. And so we're going to stand up against patriarchy, racism, ableism, sexism, all the isms, to make sure people have safe place to go. And we obviously don't say we're a safe place, because that's up to the individual to decide what's safe for them. But we want to build the framework so that learning can happen, and they can build body trust and body autonomy. And so that's kind of how we built the framework with our team. Our team is mostly neurodivergent and chronically ill women.
Wow.
So we all have a lived experience, which happened by accident, but we all have a lived experience with either neurodivergence, mental health, chronic pain, chronic illness. And so we use that lived experience to care for people where they're at and not judge them, and kind of give choice and give options where needed, so that that person can feel heard and seen and understood. And a big part of our learning with our team is building a sense of belonging for our members. A lot of people say to us they're really lacking a third space in their life. They've got home, they've got work, they need a third space. And so we kind of try and be that third space and do that with our team and also with our members. So
as a studio owner, how have you balanced? I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of studio owners listening right now saying that running a studio is hard, adrenally, when you have full health. Like, how have you managed this? It's astounding.
I'm not going to lie. It's been an absolute roller coaster. And when I say roller coaster, I don't want to swear, but it's been like an absolute...
I will.
You can.
Okay, it's been a shitstorm. And I only have been able to maintain it through the external supports around me. So I'm not bad at asking for help. I am also an NDIS participant as well, so I have supports in those areas.
Which means for the overseas people, that's a national disability. I don't know what the IS
framework, or kind of. They kind of give you supports and funding for areas to help you basically get as close to baseline as you can. So I get supports there.
Great.
I also have an amazing husband who is the reason I started the business. He actually posted the Facebook page without telling me. I told him my idea like 10 years ago, and he's like, just made a little Facebook page. So, and I also have a bunch of amazing friends and family that I lean heavily on. But I'm not going to lie. There have been many days where I'm like, that's it, I'm quitting. I can't do this. And then a member will send a review, or someone will send a message to the business, and they're like, this has been life-changing. I don't know what I'd do without this place. And it kind of, their stories propel me to not give up, because I know that there's not many places like us. And they need us. And so I always go back to the reviews, and I go back to the things my members say to me about how it's helped them. And I'm like, okay, I'm doing it for them. We
Yes.
move for our mind, and I've got a lot of supports in my industry, in the fitness and kind of health at every size space, dietitians and mentors that kind of say to me, like, don't give up, we need you.
Well, that's
So
exactly
I know
it.
We do.
That's exactly it. Like
Yeah.
listening to you, it's kind of like we need humans like you doing this work
Yeah.
for the future of humanity, right? And to create the societies that we want to see around us, and to ensure that no one is left behind on the sidelines. And
Yeah.
you people like you need to be lifted, right? They need to be supported and doors open. And it's kind of like, we just need to clear the path so you can just be you, because you're this visionary.
Yeah.
And studio owners, so many of you, like, you've got a mission, you've got a real true calling of why you're doing what you're doing, but it's tough. Yeah. It's tough. And so I'm just so excited for our whole team to just lift you up over these next 2 years. It's going to be a very, very special experience.
Thank you.
Very special experience. Isn't she remarkable, Michelle?
Oh my goodness. Just what you're giving back to the community. And it's just, this one gets me in the gut as someone who was isolated for so long. Not having that third space is so important. So important.
Yeah.
And being a studio owner can also be very isolating, Chloe. So it comes to my next kind of question. We know that you're a leaper. So Chloe has joined our program, The Leap. And you say that you stalked us for a little bit. But what was your journey of coming into the studio evolution world? I get really interested when we work with so many studio owners. How did you find us, stumble across Chantel or the company?
Yeah. I think I found you guys first through your podcast. And then I was just trying to find someone who understood service-based businesses, but service-based businesses with heart. It wasn't all about getting as many members in as quickly as possible. It was like, I actually wanted someone who understood mission-based business with a vision. And I just loved, this is probably going to sound really funny, Chantel, but when I heard your voice, it was so calm and grounded. And I was like, this lady knows her stuff, but also, this probably sounds a bit rude, she's not one of those marketing bro wankers. You know what I mean? Like they're kind of
it's the nicest thing someone said to me.
So nice to say.
I'm so grateful. You see me.
She's not a wanker.
She's not a wanker. Sorry, that sounded so rude.
No, I love it.
That's
I love that.
I want to be
compliment.
that human. It's exactly who I want to be, because it's bullshit, right? It is the hustle culture.
It's just exhausting.
And oh my gosh, it's just like there's for me, it's the businesses. I believe studio business thrives when the studio owner thrives. Yep. You get the leadership, you get the system supporting the studio owner, allow them to be calm and relaxed and visionary and creative and playful. The business is going to thrive, and that means allows you to do this work. So, and none of I struggle with seeing studio owners in programs like that. And honestly, I kind of think if you're getting help, whoever you kind of are attracted to, that is fantastic. If you're kind of getting support and you're learning, that's what I care about. It's also just holistic. And like in your work at the Self Care Sisterhood, it's not just about how many reps. It's kind of the context and the meaning of the reps that you're doing that matter. Yeah. Why?
Definitely.
Why are we doing it?
Yeah, definitely. I just love listening to you guys too talk on the podcast and hear that, like, the genuine friendship and support that you have for each other, but also just, you've done I know that you've done the hustle. Like some of the things you say in the podcast, I'm like, okay, she's definitely owned a studio. Whereas there's so many other programs out there where people just, they start a million studios, but they've never actually been in the hustle. They've been outside of it looking in. And it's like, you can really tell by the way they market, and so I just was like, my little spidey senses were like, this looks good.
You found your peeps.
Yeah.
It's so lovely. That's so lovely. Well, welcome. And I'm so looking forward to meeting you in person at one of our retreats coming up. It's going to be very special. So let's start this whole kind of time capsule process. So my vision is I want to know kind of crunchy bits, like what's happening in the studio, because this is going to be a really beautiful anchor point in your life. This episode for me is to hold how you feel in relation to your business. And I know what you give your beautiful clients who come to the self-care studio, you see how they feel. And what I'm most excited about is going to see how you feel at the end of the 2 years. So would you kind of give us a bit of a kind of lens on how you feel in relation to kind of the running, the profitability, the kind of holding the team. I think you're great at team. I don't think team's going to be a big problem for you. Or you're a natural leader. But, you know, kind of like how you feel at marketing and like how it's kind of going right now. Let's kind of get a snapshot.
Yeah. So I love my team. My team are amazing. We have a really amazing core team this year, especially. I just feel like I can breathe. I feel like everyone in my team has integrity and they get the vision of the business. They're really dialed into what we're doing. And, you know, we've kind of put them in areas where it's kind of like they're green lights. So like that's where they thrive. Okay, you do this, that's your thrive point. I think the thing that I want to work on the best with the business is my disability gets in the way of me being consistent in certain areas of the business. So marketing and just being consistent in those areas, because some of those things are things only that I can do because I need to kind of grow the vision. And I've taken a step back from classes, so I'm in a position now where I'm working a lot less with clients, but I'm still doing a few anchor points during the week, which is what I want to keep doing. But yeah, we want to grow the business. We've grown a lot through the leap, which has been amazing. Yeah, and it's just been like so exciting and like it all makes sense. And I'm like, oh, okay, perfect. I want to learn, excuse me, how to market the business better, how to grow the business. We're quite a niche, the way we present in our community. So we're not for everyone.
Nope.
We know we're not for everyone. So we know that that's going to make it a little bit harder to grow because we're having to market quite specifically. But when we find our people, they don't leave. They like, they're like lifers. They stay forever. So we have a very low churn rate, very low. And we want to figure out how we can make, I guess, the business more accessible to more people with disabilities. So we really want to grow the business to online coaching. And then we're in the process of building an app at the moment so we can care for more people in a price point that they can afford. So we can care for more people like me.
Yeah.
And build profit in the business, because I always say to the girls, you know, the more profit we have, the more people helped. It's not like an icky, yucky, you know how people have that money mindset thing. I'm like, no, if we have more profit, we've literally helped more people. So it's this thing I'm kind of working on the team around money mindset.
Wow. Bravo.
So, and they're really starting to get it. Yeah, thank you. So it's taken a lot of work and I've had to do that work with money mindset stuff too. But I think, just learning more about money, more about marketing, we're doing a lot of work in systems in the business. I've just taken on my beautiful staff member, Tony. She's stepped up to operations manager. So
wonderful.
Which we talked about for a little bit. And she's like, here's all the things I love doing. And I was like, they are every single thing that I hate doing. Perfect. Please take them immediately off me.
Isn't it just the greatest thing ever? You found your unicorn. You found your Michelle. It's like
truly, I literally almost cried. I was like, I need to have a big drink and a lie down because I'm so relieved.
Relieved.
So she's able to take on some things where just as part of the business, you need to be more consistent. And due to the nature of my disabilities, I just physically cannot be that consistent with some of those things. So I'm better suited to be visionary, overarching vision of the business, marketing, the big picture stuff, the creative stuff, which I can do at times that don't affect clients. So I can be at 11 p.m. at night making graphics because it won't affect anyone else. And just wanting to learn how to do that, I guess, and be a better teacher and a better leader. And kind of, I think I'm bottlenecking the business a little bit. So figuring out how to step away where I need to so that it can grow.
Tell us a little bit more about that, how that's playing out, the bottlenecking.
Yeah. So I was just teaching too many classes. And so with the nature of our business, a lot of our some of our staff members have fluctuating health conditions as well. So I was just so burnt out myself. I was just stepping in to teach for them rather than actively looking for a new replacement. And so I had a lot of fear around finding new staff members because, you know, we've had experiences in the past where we've brought on a staff member, it's worked out for a while, but then it turns out they weren't fully on board with our mission. And when we tried to bring that to them, I probably didn't do it the best possible way I could have. And so later on I learned like, okay, I could have done that better. But then also they didn't want to be part of the vision. So being more accessible to clients and kind of things around just making sure that they have options in class. We need to be disability accessible and making sure that the teachers are on board with that. And so it was kind of tricky. And then also we had a lot of contractors, so it meant that we had fluctuating people coming in and out of the business. So it didn't give continuity to the members. And that's just the nature of contractors. So we're moving now completely to an employee-only model so that we can ensure that we have more kind of control over that, but also more opportunity to help them grow as staff members. And that's something I've realized I need to do better, as well as how can I facilitate their growth whilst also caring for myself with these disabilities. But I've had some exciting things happen. I'm on a new heart medication, so my capacity has grown by like 50% in like the last 4 months. So it's really exciting, because literally 6 months ago I was like, I might actually have to shut this down. I don't know which way it's going to go, because I wasn't able to walk for more than like 10 minutes at a time. And I'm running a fitness studio and I can't walk. So it's like, what do you do?
It's very hard.
So I've got, so the new medication has helped. And then I joined the Leap around that time when I started the new medication. And then it's kind of just all come together. And I'm like really excited. So it's just, accepting the reality of my disability will fluctuate. And so I need to disability proof my business, basically, or like kind of how people say they baby proof their business. I'm like, I'm the baby. I need to baby proof.
Well, you're the most precious one. You're the most, and like all of you, all of the studio owners are the most precious ones, right? And they're often the least cared for. But what I so respect in what you're sharing, Chloe, is how deeply you actually accept yourself and accept your needs. And it's quite rare, actually, I think, for someone to be so self-aware, in the sense of understanding, like, if I do this, then everything else benefits. Like, I'm sure it hasn't always been easy. Like, kind of, you've probably ran into walls and kind of had that happen, right? It's a process of learning. Yeah. But to be in a place now where you recognize that actually, it's like the studio name, like the self-care of the studio owner is in many ways the highest priority. That if we sustain that and protect you, you are able to be, again, more visionary, more creative, and again, reach more people. That's the goal.
Definitely. Yeah. And I wasn't always that self-aware. Like probably 2 years ago, there was a point in the business where we had staff members coming in and out, and I wasn't aware how much my disability was affecting the team. And so I've done a lot of learning and growing. And so it was hard. It was really hard. And I was like, okay, I need to get real with this. So it was definitely hard one. It wasn't, it was hard one, self-awareness. It was kind of like a slap to the face, but now I'm there. I'm like, okay, this is where we can go.
May I ask you a question?
Yes, go for it.
With you stepping into Studio Evolution, what do we need to know to help best support you? Like, what would help us facilitate your greatest learning? And I'd love to know kind of what for you would give you the greatest sense of support.
I think just the way that you guys have already been doing it with just like the regular check-ins and the emails. I think understanding that I won't always be able to go to everything face to face, but I'll always try my best to come where I can. And I found the replays really helpful in the Leap. I think I'm trying to think. I think just if you notice that I'm a bit out of it, or you haven't heard from me, just to check in would be really helpful. So I live with like lots of things. I've got a POTS syndrome, I've got endometriosis, chronic migraine, I've got autism and ADHD, so I'm a little bit neurodivergent, and depression and anxiety. So I've got all these things. And fibromyalgia. That's another one I've got as well.
That's tough.
So I've got like the whole bag of things.
How are you so joyful? Look at the joy in you.
I know, just so much joy.
Look at this joyful radiant.
Truly, joy is my resistance.
Yeah.
Joy is my resistance.
Yeah.
So I lean heavily into the glimmers and the little things. It's been a long journey to get here. I was not always like this.
Yeah.
No, you've worked for it. I believe that for sure.
I believe it. I was not. I was not this person a couple of years ago. I think COVID forced me to actually realize. So I didn't know I had autism and ADHD until about 2020.
Yeah.
And then COVID kind of broke me. And then all of the accommodations that were around me just in normal life weren't there. And then it was like, oh,
Hello.
she
Yeah.
actually, it's really hard with COVID, but being away from people actually helped me.
Yeah.
Like having
Yep.
longer periods of time where I didn't have to talk, I didn't have to give eye contact. So moving into this role in the business where I'm less people facing has actually helped me to be, when I am people facing, I'm like,
You're
I'm
there.
lit up.
You've
People
got more
can-
energy.
I'm present.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
fully present.
I get
so,
that.
And people have noticed. So my members are not shy. They're like, hey, you seem really good today. They're also neurodivergent as well.
Tell it like it is.
Yeah. So,
Wow.
but no, yeah, any support if you just think maybe you haven't heard from me for a little bit. A check-in is never, I'm never offended or weirded out. I'm actually like, yay, they love me.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's good to know.
That's
my
beautiful.
my executive function isn't the best, so I will sometimes forget to do things, and then I'll get the little reminder. I'm like, oh, well, better do that.
Beautiful. Beautiful. So if we were to zoom out, wildest dreams, fairy godmother, you can have whatever you want. Like you can have whatever you want. The biggest iteration of kind of reaching, connecting, transforming people, not just in maybe the Newcastle, but like this online, like, can you paint the picture for us of like what your dream would be, both in what you'd realize in the business and then also what would that give you in your life? Like I know when you said your application, you want 6 weeks off a year, but I want you to kind of like, you can ask for it all.
Yeah. I think for me, I want to be able to help as many women as possible, like me. So I guess my big, scary, audacious goal would be to have, 1,000 online members or more and kind of be able to reach people who are stuck. For me, for a long time, I was stuck at home for 2 years, extremely isolated, and knowing what that feels like. It's soul sucking, and it almost cost me my life. Like if I'm really honest with you guys,
I bet.
so I'm a suicide survivor, and that is a big part of my business mission is helping other people to know that they're not alone, and there's so many tools that you can do to help you stay alive, and not just stay alive, but thrive. And we're not always taught them as women. So if I can facilitate that, I really want to grow to build a teacher training program within my business to help other people, because I always get requests. Can you start a gym in Queensland? What about Tasmania? And I'm like, my brain just goes, oh, that sounds really hard. And I'm really tired and I'm disabled and I don't think I have capacity. But if we could do a teacher training program to instill the vision and the way we train our teachers up to help them help more people, I think that would be better.
Like a certification
I want to start my own
program.
podcast. Yeah, pretty much.
I could imagine you having a full certification program where, we've really refined the particular kind of methodology of like, here is the kind of process and there's some systems in it and some very cool clarity. And that way, again, you're going to, for your, in Newcastle, going to grow your own studio, own teachers through the studio, but then be able to kind of educate people. I do know some models of that exist very, very successfully, where then they could start their own branch of kind of the Self Care Sisterhood in their regions. And there's kind of like an umbrella organization that oversees these kind of satellite locations, if you will, with one affiliated central brand. So, I mean, like that makes total sense in what you're saying.
Yeah. And I didn't come up with that idea myself. I actually had some mentors of mine within the health at every size space, beautiful friends of mine, Susan and Meg, who are dietitians. And they're like, you need to start a teacher certification process. But this was in 2019, and I was like a baby business back then. I was like, oh, yeah, that sounds nice. Like, I'll write that down, not really think much about it. But now I'm like, actually, I could help. I think my approach is one to many. I think I want to try and figure out how I can do that with my capacity. And also just knowing there's all these other disabled business owners that I've met online through Instagram and seeing how they do it. And I'm like, oh, thank God, like there's a role model to aspire to in their specific industries, which are different to mine. And then I just really want to grow our business in Newcastle and just help as many women as we can there. We're really wanting to grow to 200, 250 members, which we're on track to do. Like we're growing each month, which is really exciting. And I'm just wanting to facilitate that growth without losing the vision and the heart of the business. I know a lot of businesses can grow really quickly and then they lose steam and then they lose momentum. And I've seen that happen with throughout the last couple of years. I've seen other businesses do that, and then I don't know, they lose their secret sauce. I don't know what to call it. It just kind of becomes about the money, which is an important part of business. But I think profit needs to be really heavily tied into legacy and kind of
community.
I don't know. I think people can see through that. Like, we have that said to us a lot, like, oh, thank God you guys aren't just about the money. And it's still an important part. We need memberships to sustain our business, but I don't want them to feel like they're just a number. We want them to be seen, heard, and understood. And that's a big part of what we do.
Maintaining the culture is going to be essential as you grow. And I don't doubt that will be on your heart every day, and that's not something you're going to let go very, very easily.
No.
And what about for yourself, hun? So like within the next kind of couple of years, what would you love for yourself to receive or experience?
Yeah. So the big overarching thing that I think I mentioned in my application a little bit is I'm very heavily tied to social justice work, and I work with a bunch of women in Newcastle called Newcastle Mums for Palestine. I also started up a group called Nui Watermelon Collective where we fundraise for families in Gaza. Some of my best friends are there, and the overarching mission is to grow the business to sustain itself so that when and if this G-side finishes, I will go over with some friends of mine in the industry to hopefully help where we can from a fitness perspective. So one of my best friends, Fadi El Deeb, is a Palestinian Paralympian. And so he really wants to work on social inclusion for people with disabilities. And so we know that there's a huge proportion of people over there who are newly amputees and newly disabled, paralyzed. And so we're going to hopefully work together to. It's a long-term thing that we're going to have to work towards, but basically, I want to build the business to be able to do that and go away for long periods of time, which will be needed. I also work within some good mentors within the rehab Pilates space. So wanting to be trained up more by them so that I can then go and be of help. And, potentially I'd love to have a baby one day. That would be amazing if my uterus cooperates. We'll see what happens. And just, I think for me, just to feel like the wheels aren't going to fall off the business. It's been a really stressful couple of years. And I think I've still, my team would say this about me, that I'm still traumatized by COVID and how that affected our business. We had a pretty tumultuous time. We went into lockdown, and then we were told we had 5 weeks to leave the place where we were because our lease was ending and they weren't renewing it. So we had nowhere to go. And then we found a new place, and that was great for 2 years. And then we had to leave due to dodgy landlord issues. And so then that cost us a lot of money to get out of that. And then we went to New Lambton, and we love it here. But if it wasn't for the help of my amazing team and the community, like keeping us going, and my beautiful dad helping me to get the bond for the new place, it was a very stressful financial time. It was just thing after thing after thing. And then not knowing I had POTS and not knowing I had ADHD and autism. So it was all like a cluster of finding those things out along the way.
It's been a big couple of years. It's been a big couple of years.
It's been a big couple of years. So I'm keen to my theme of this year is actually slowly. Just keep plodding along. Do 70%, pace yourself. So my team does say I have a trauma response when someone mentions COVID. My eye twitches, and I'm like,
understandably.
But knowing that we're 5 years out.
But it's interesting. I would say in the industry there is overwhelming PTSD in studio owners from COVID. Even to the degree where, so we ran Elevate, like a live event in last month, like 8 weeks ago, 7 weeks ago, something like that. And we were doing a bunch of money work, and I was like just reading the room and intuitively just like, we actually can't move on. I can't move on with teaching until we actually look this in the face and start to heal it. And I kind of went to Sam, who's going to be your mentor, in the break. I said, like, we have to just kind of pause for a second, and we need to address this. And I said, we got all the members an invitation. Like I decided to do a campfire burning. So we all walked down to a campfire and they wrote a letter of the grief and of the rage and of the hurt and of what was taken away from them. And because there was so much still being held. People hadn't raised their prices from pre-COVID days because they were still so scared about the impact on families and like if they left. And so they were stuck in 2019.
Yeah.
Like all of the angst was there. And so all the members came down to the campfire and they read it aloud and we held it together. Well, not all of them. Some chose to not because they were, they didn't need that process. But having a place where we actually could address it, the emotional side of what you was held, is essential, because unless we can move that through, we stay so frozen, frozen. There was a lot of tears. There was a lot of tears in that moment. But I really believe it to be true, Chloe. I believe it to be true that there is a collective still trauma from particularly for our industries. We were such an incredibly hard hit for our industry. We had the personal relationships, we had space, and we were expected to transition our businesses online immediately. Like it was just, it was bonkers.
It was insane. And I feel like only my small business friends got it. Everyone else in my life was like, oh, that, just keep running a business. And I'm like, I'm about to pass out. Like for me physically, there was a few moments in that first month I actually thought I was going to pass out standing up because I was so exhausted because I was doing so many. And then going online, like we had to deliver the classes and we had to figure out audio, sound,
all the
technicalities. And then you then had to deliver more with your body as a teacher because they were watching you online. So it was just like, it was just like an absolute, I got injured. I injured myself twice because I was just overtraining. And I remember thinking coming out of it, I never want to exercise again. Like I was so over it. And I was just like.
And presenting on Zoom, it needs so much more energy. Like when you're teaching on Zoom, you need
so much more
than when you've got, because you can rely on the energy of the classroom, right? You're there with the peeps, everyone brings the energy, but when you are there looking at that little green dot, you got to bring it. It's very, very difficult. And then there was also the fear, the perpetual fear of like, if someone comes in with COVID and then if it spreads, like that whole kind of like action response plan of like, if this goes down, like it was this constant low level anxiety of responsibility and risk.
And we're still seeing the effects of COVID in our business today. I often say to the team, it's probably like a 4 to 6 week period. Every 4 to 6 weeks, we have another outbreak of influenza, COVID, RSV, something happens. And so people are like, oh, but it's not still affecting you. I'm like, yeah, it is. We're getting pauses. And then people will come in, give it to, probably it was about a month ago, we had someone bring it in by accident, wasn't symptomatic. They gave it to the entire class and we had like up to 20 pauses.
Oh my gosh.
And I was like, it was really stressful. So I was like, oh my God, we're back in lockdown again. This is horrific. And so we had to put in really strict rules because I'm autoimmune compromised. So is some of my team. I have a staff member whose dad has, a lung condition. So we were like, if he gets it, it could be terminal. So I think people are just forgetting that disabled people exist and we're the most at risk still.
Protection.
Yeah, it's really scary. It's really stressful.
It is genuinely. It is genuinely. No, it's very real. It's very real, the trauma from COVID. And I think I've heard a statistic that it takes 5 years post a very significant event just to kind of even on a collective level for there to be a settling. And we're just coming towards that cuspy time right now. But it hasn't even been 5 calm years, right? There's been such global uncertainty. Like I don't think we've actually had, just the ease of 5 years of just being able to come back to ground.
Yeah, no, it's getting crazier and crazier out there.
It's batshit crazy.
So,
batshit crazy.
Batshit crazy.
That's where it is. That's where it is. Well, Chloe, I'm so honoured to see this road ahead that we're going to walk and to have you in our program. I'm really proud of you and what you stand for and what you're creating. And we to build the foundations of this business alongside you to get the foundations of unbelievable security and stability and support for you is going to be really just one to watch. And I'm so very grateful that you're going to share this journey with everyone on the pod. It's going to be a really fun ride.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited. Like I'll make some weird noises.
We're your people. We're your people. We're going to love it here. Yeah.
It's going to be beautiful. It's going to be well. I'll see you at 8 a.m. tomorrow, Chloe, and we get this show on the road.
Yay, excited. Thank you so much, guys, for this opportunity. I really appreciate it. I'm really excited to have a official timestamp where I can go back and listen to my own voice. I'm like, right, you said this. You got to do it now.
The vision has been cast. We're here for it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Thanks,
Love it.
lovely.
Awesome.
Thank you. Oh my goodness.
Oh my goodness.
She's a gun. Like,
Wow.
trailblazer. Just so much heart, so much mission, so smart, and so much leadership.
So
It's just-
self-aware. So beautiful.
It's just amazing.
Like, you don't
I
meet
just
humans
got-
like that every day at Woolies at the checkout, right? You just
No,
don't
you don't.
meet them. You don't
You don't.
meet them.
Definitely
I
not.
don't, at least. I don't.
Yeah, either do I. And just so much she has learnt through her journey of herself, and then how that is now brought into her mission, how it's bringing ripples and impact into her community of her studio.
Mm.
She's going to love it in Evolution.
It's going to be a real joy and a real honor to support her going forward. So yeah, I am pumped. Hope you enjoyed this episode, lovely ones. Really cool little process. We're going to start with our little kind of quasi reality TV show, Fix My Studio on the podcast little approach. We are very excited to kind of swing back around, and you can track Chloe's progress through Evolution and through her studio. And just like Chloe, the best place to start on your journey is The Leap. And if you'd like to head on over to studioevolution.com/leap, you can find out about this program. It's 6 weeks. As she kind of said on the call, she's already enrolled so many more students just by taking this kind of 6-week online course and gain the support that really is transformational for studio owners. So we'd love to welcome you into The Leap and get this show on the road. Thanks for being here, my friend. So grateful to you. And we'll see you next time on your studio podcast. Bye.
Bye.
Loved this episode? Hit follow so you never miss what's next. And if you're ready for more clarity, tools, and support to grow your studio, head to studioevolution.com/start. Your dream studio is possible, and you don't have to build it alone.